Hey, somebody asked me about that too, but I said, you got the name.
Yeah, like one thing that was out of your head.
So, the individual or
The individual.
All right, let's go ahead and get started.
Pleasure.
It is 7:03 PM, the 27th of August, 2024. We'll kick off the Board of Directors meeting from Mount Mooresville Area School District for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I went in. Sorry.
Stand by. Oh, I can't stand the sound of my voice. All right.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Mr. Albert is absent. Mr. Badger,
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower,
Here.
Mr. Gardner is absent, Mr. Hosnick.
Here.
Miss McCoy,
Here.
Mrs. Meyer, here, Mrs. Oberheim, here, and Mr. Young.
Here. No recognitions or presentations for the evening. We'll roll right into the public comment section of the agenda. This is for residents and taxpayers comment on matters of concern, official action, or deliberating before the board. Please come up and have your unpaused 3 minutes.
Jack Callahan, 113 Arch Street in Toursville. I want to go back to that newspaper 3 years ago, Dan. That's when those newspapers were dumped down the toilet. I got that from over at school board or at the graduation. A teacher said it to the kids, did that. And I don't know what you were saying to me the last meeting when I was walking away from the podium. So, and I don't know what I said back to you. So I just leave it like that. Yeah, do we have any games or any, or has it started yet? It hasn't officially started. Or has it?
No, it's a club. It's not PIAA sports.
No, I know
It
that,
can
but I
start
mean, I
whenever
guess
we get the coach.
they'll just be
Coach is on the,
among themselves.
coach is on the agenda to be approved this evening.
Okay. And then, I remember when the school in the community is the leader in the community. It's supposed to be. In which I agree. Everything revolves around the school in the community. And these 4 newsletters told they had the fall schedule and the summer or the spring schedules. And they had everything about if they were having a garage sale or some type of sale, a hoagie sale or whatever. I mean, you can't bring that back because of the money. I mean, it would cost money to stamp and send these 4 newsletters out. And then I said something to Dan about that iconic picture of all the Navy man hugging a nurse, and that was an iconic picture. And I hope that hasn't been destroyed. It was in the lost and found, and I didn't think that was right. You know, that was supposed to be the picture that ended all wars. It was, I don't know if you're all familiar with that, but that's what that picture was. And it meant something to me when I donated it to the school. And then by luck, I came over to the school to see Matt, and I see it in the lost and found. Now, that's crap.
Kathy Burns, Muncie, Pennsylvania. I just want to address the fact that I sent an email to you board members because we're obviously not allowed to ask you questions while we're standing here and I got a response from one. Sharon, thank you for responding to me, although I do disagree with your response. I appreciate the fact that you took the time to respond to me. The rest of you, either you don't check the email or you found it not important enough to address my email. So I will once again ask you, if you knew of the increased amount that you would be getting when you voted for the tax increase, and if you did, would you have voted the same way that you did? There is money, Sharon, you were nice enough to respond to me saying that there still be a deficit, but there's enough money in that general fund to cover the deficit to where the tax increase did not have to occur. So I'm asking those of you that voted yes on the tax increase, that got the information on the amount of money that you did get, reconsider that tax increase and repeal it. And I would ask you kindly to respond to my emails, or would you like to answer me tonight? Does anybody want to answer me tonight?
In the last meeting, Mr. Tormita had a presentation that broke down. Did you see that?
I got
I know you
information
weren't
on
here.
it. No, I wasn't here. I can't make every meeting,
Yeah,
but
I know. You said you weren't going to be in your email.
you read my email? Oh,
I
good.
did, yeah.
You didn't respond.
Well, because I've already made all my comments about.
I simply asked you a question. I'm not picking on you, Todd, not at all. I'm just asking for the respect as a taxpayer in this community who, frankly, I own 5 properties in this district. I'm going to get hit badly with those tax increases. Thank God my rents will cover them. I feel badly for those, Jack and others, that are suffering now, are behind on their taxes. You've got money. If you did not know the amount of money that you were getting, I'm asking you to rethink your vote on this tax increase and repeal it and put it off till next year. I'm asking all of you that. You don't have to reply to my emails. Thank you, Sharon. You were nice enough to do that, and I did appreciate that. But I am asking you to repeal that tax increase. You've got the money, I've got the figures, and there's enough money in that fund. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no one else in the room, we'll go to Zoom. If anyone has a question or comment, please raise your hand. All right, no hands raised, moving on. The general agenda items. Yes, Mr. Albert has arrived. All right, there's only 3 in here. So we'll just go one by one. So 3.1, approval of the Odyssey of the Mind Club at the membership cost of $290. I make the motion. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I have one. Where is the 290 gonna come from for the membership?
Not budgeted, so I don't know where that's coming from.
On building budget somewhere.
Somebody's building budget.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. 3.2, approval of the use of facilities for Misty Emick for FC Montour Soccer Memorial Stadium, September 8th, 2024, 7:30 to 9:45 p.m. Take a motion to approve. Motion approved. Questions? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. 3.3, approval of the following field trip requests. Motion approved. Second. Questions, comments? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Personnel, 4.1, approval of the following additions to the coaching sports staff. You want to break that down between
There's a
positions and
typo.
names?
There is a typo. Event security is 11.50 per hour. You can do a motion on each, yes. That was your.
Yes,
That was your
yes,
question.
thank you. So can we make a motion,
That's McKaylee Hallibuck.
can
That's the pronunciation.
we make a motion for four, but then vote individually on each of them? Is that how we do that, or we gotta make a motion for each?
Motion for each, please.
Okay. All right, so for McKaylee Hallibuck, for building security, 11.50 per hour. Take a motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, approval for Michaela Hallibuck for event security at 11.50 an hour, starting August 27th. Second. Questions?
Is this part of her job description or his job description? To be event security as well as building security? That's the one that's.
You would be approving,
One
it's a
position.
separate job.
Separate
Two
job.
separate entities.
Okay.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, Charles DeSanto, event security, 11.50 an hour, starting August 27th. Take a motion. Second. Does that need to take?
That's it.
Take a
You're
motion.
the first.
We need a vote. Yeah.
Second. Second.
There we go. Questions? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, coaching staff, Isaiah Fenner, volunteer football coach. Take a motion to approve that.
Hey, can we back up? Or it's too late?
We have to make a
On the
motion
last one.
to amend.
Did did you vote?
Yeah, but for some reason, I got confused with the second Halliburton.
You would like to change your vote?
Yes.
Well, this is new territory.
Oh, boy.
One moment.
Can we finish, move to the next three names and go back, or we gotta just pause?
I would just pause a minute. We should get back to me. Already voted and passed.
I can't back up.
Okay. All right, Isaiah Fenner, volunteer football coach. Take a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve.
Questions? What football group age?
Varsity.
When did he graduate? Recently?
Yeah.
Last year?
4 years ago. Four.
It was 4 years. Wow, 4 or 5. Has it been?
He's about 20, right around there. I think it's 3.
Yeah, maybe 2
It,
years.
it was my last year's principal because they made it entertaining. So it was 3 years ago.
Oh, all right, well, I'll take a motion to, we already got the motion, I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
David Fortin, mock trial coach with a stipend of $1,000, replacing Susan Wise.
Motion to approve. Oh, you just said that. It's summer.
I'm not the only one not paying
Oh my
losing track
gosh.
here. All right, so we got a
Sorry,
first,
Kevin.
we got a first and a second. Sharon, did you?
Sharon.
I did
you made-
first. I did
Yeah.
first.
Becker Young made a second.
I got excited about the next one.
Questions, comments? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Queepo,
All right, Tom Quipo, volleyball coach,
just Hawaiian.
pending, clearances, a stipend of $3,900.
Motion to approve.
I have a question. real quick.
We need
Yeah,
a
get it
second first.
Second. You can make the second. There. All right, now you can ask your question.
It was my understanding, talking to the volleyball players' teacher last time, is that they were gonna do something on their end to, solicit funds,
They are.
whether it's part of what they are.
Yeah. they
Okay.
have.
Yeah, they raised a little over $700.
Yeah, they're-
So they tried.
No, they haven't. They've been at.
Okay, I
every-
didn't know that.
Like, if you go to any of the events, they have a little volleyball booth on there. They've been actively fundraising. They were.
All right.
They've got a
I've
lot of
seen-
different things
We've
around
seen a
there.
little over 700 deposited.
Yeah.
I will tell you on this particular
Is
hire,
exciting.
we scored
Big
big time. He is the former coach for Susquehanna University. College level coach. He likes the approach of what we're doing, taking the year to get girls ready rather than just throwing them right into competition. So, he's excited. He's on board with what we're doing here, and, we'll be excited to get this.
He literally just retired.
Yeah.
He hasn't even had a year off. And so I think he had a lot of coaxing from the community that was very excited to have him on.
Is he from around here that I missed?
Yeah,
He lives in Montour.
Yeah, he lives in Montoursville, but he was the head coach at Susquehanna.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, so, and they have an incredible volleyball program for the girls, so it's a huge, like, I mean, the timing of us doing ours and him retiring and not retiring.
Yeah,
I
that's,
mean, I'm thankful to have them, but just in, volleyball was a thing in general. Where is the 3,900 gonna come from? Did we already decide that it's coming from the athletics?
athletics, yep.
Okay, thanks.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
All opposed?
And I am thankful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exciting. 4.2, approval of the following additions to the substitutes list for the 2024-2025 school year.
Motion to approve. Second.
Questions? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? 4.3, approval of the following long-term substitution assignment. That would be Linda LaPoe for mathematics.
Second.
Questions? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? 4.4, approval of the following resignation from a member of the support staff. That would be Natalie Teffeller. Teffeller, yes. Paraprofessional, effective August 7th.
Motion to approve.
Questions? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? 5.1, approval of the following addition to the bus drivers list, Kim Shoemaker. Pronounce that. Motion approved.
Second.
Questions, comments? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Academics, 6.1, approval of the request from Mr. Cody Hoover for enrollment and waiver of tuition of Tommaso
Tommaso Pagani.
Pagani. I love it.
He's good.
That's awesome. And Fernando Cruz. Cavalcanti. From Italy and Brazil. That's exciting.
That's awesome.
Jack, did you catch that? 2 foreign exchange students this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
He used to sell bonds to, raise money to bring them over.
That's great.
You never know.
All right, I'll take a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed. All right, moving on to section 7, discussion of future action items. This 7.1 is discussion of policy 337 for electronic devices.
Before we get into these couple of things, if we could, just have a brief moment of silence, Jackson Big Dog Snyder, he was Lewisburg.
Yeah.
Yeah, a young man from Lewisburg middle school that passed here recently. And then one of our recent graduates who was entering the field of education, recently hired by the Williamsport School District to be an elementary teacher, also passed. Last week, it was actually our first day of school. Emily Weed, we could have a moment of silence here and then we can get into our discussions. Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you. All right, any comments on the policy?
This is Shaka. So I am trying to find the middle ground of this. Because I understand that there are parents out there that have concerns about being in touch with their children during the school day. I'm trying to find the compromise, and I think possibly writing into the compromise is dumb phones, and this is why I sort of said, and dumb phones are one you can call, you can text, it's a flip phone, there's no internet access, there's nothing else, it's a dumb phone. So in wording the policy, when I was looking at it as electronic devices, shall include any personal communication device. Rewording that part to the mobile telephone would sort of have to get taken out, just smartphones, any device that can, and the rest of it can still stay, that can capture still images,
Watches covered.
movies. Watches not necessarily that, because they can't capture images or movies unless they have the phone attached to them.
So we'd be allowing texting basically.
I'm trying to find, because I think that the biggest is a lot of the social media, the going onto sites, the recording of,
Agreed.
you know, in the bathrooms, TikTok, Snapchat, all the things that distract during the day. And it doesn't matter if they're in their backpacks, half the time they're not. They're just thinking about, okay, when I get out in the hallway, or can I go to the bathroom? And if they don't have access to it, then they actually start to communicate with each other, right? So I think the thing that our kids are lacking is that they don't know how to act socially. They text each other, they talk, and if you have a flip phone, they aren't gonna wanna text because it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cause my son has a flip phone and he does not text because it's like, they take forever.
And all the other kids are gonna be training pretty soon.
Yeah, wow. Well, no, cause it's a flip phone. It has analog numbers on it, and it's, remember back in the day when you had to hit to get to C, you had to hit 1 3 times and you
Did
got
they
to
make
C. Absolutely. I have 2 of them at my house. They're about $20 with a $15 plan.
I just don't want them in between classes accessing anything, because really their mindset should be on their next test, the next period, or studying for tomorrow's test.
I completely agree with that. I'm trying to find the compromise of,
No, I understand.
and the dumb phone has no internet access. It doesn't have,
Does it have a camera?
some do, some don't, right? So in order for it to be allowed, it would have to be one without. It's like a truly like, does not have a camera, there's no video recording, there's nothing of that sort. And they have them. So
So
if
you're saying if the parent is
truly bent on
Vested,
my
yeah.
kid does, I do not, I need to have in contact with them outside of obviously the medical reasons or whatever.
the dumb phone.
You say in class, so too.
No, that still would be in the backpack and everything like that, you know what I mean? It would still, that part still would apply. It's not gonna be out, you know what I mean? But if you don't want it in the pouch, that there would be the acceptability of a dumb phone, and a dumb phone is talk, text. That's it. So I'm trying to find, because I feel like there's that anxiousness, whether founded, unfounded, I mean, I think most of us all survived without cell phones. In our lifetime, and there were phones in every classroom, and there's phones in the office, and, you know, I know my children have called me from their classroom on multiple occasions.
But truly,
Other
does
teachers.
anybody truly need to text their kids during class, I know it doesn't.
I don't think so, but I'm trying to
I know you people.
ease into like,
When we made this decision though, that was it. You know what I mean? Like, we made it knowing that it was gonna ruffle feathers, it was gonna ruffle the kids' feathers.
Yeah.
We're gonna be those parents that were going to be upset. So if you were gonna let them have a dumb phone, that doesn't really change our policy other than just.
you know, because the biggest problem is a smartphone. It really is.
Yeah,
It's
and it's
the
not-
access to social media, it's the scrolling, it's the TikToks, it's the snaps, it's the constant focusing on that. A dumb phone, you don't, like, trust me, they don't even, listen, my kids have them and they don't even want them out of their pocket half the time, so.
But that's your kids, no offense,
No,
which is great.
I get that, but what I'm saying is to alleviate, and I wouldn't send my kids to school with them. So it's not, I have no problem with my kids being in school without phones, neither of them are.
I just wonder, years ago, when your kids were in second grade, how'd you get a hold of them if you had
You called the school,
called the office?
yeah.
What's the difference with calling the office when they're in 11th grade or 12th grade?
I like the idea of no distractions whatsoever.
I do too.
I do too. I was putting it out there as a discussion on, because the feedback is like, well.
I can totally see it, like, and they almost buy into it, but I would rather agree with Todd there.
Yeah,
Mr.
I,
Badger.
listen, I
As
have
a-
no
as the
problem
country's
with it
doing
not
They're
being.
starting to do it. Pennsylvania's going that way. We're starting it in this region. Other schools are gonna do the same thing. So let's help
Yeah.
everybody and just do a total ban. Everybody else do the same thing. It'll spread across the state. Just a thought.
Yeah, there are other districts.
Yeah, I have
There are
no
other
problem with
districts
it.
that-
I'm just throwing it out there.
We received an email.
Yeah.
Talking about the urgency
Yeah,
of
yeah.
reaching their.
But I think that's
their
even some of the
child, and- and
some of the anxiousness
That's
comes
anxiety.
from that.
Right, and-
Like, I
and
think, like,
Again, that's just, it isn't,
It's a personal issue, I think.
right, and so, for me, I don't see any need for changes.
Here's the
as
thing,
far-
we have
I
the
just-
safest and most secure school district anywhere. Okay, these kids, no parent should worry about their kids when they go to school. We have an extensive armed security program. Very comprehensive. We have a lot going on, like these kids shouldn't feel threatened, the parents shouldn't feel threatened.
listen, I think that they become less anxious if they don't have constant contact. I mean, that's just,
Here,
I'm spitballing it out there, not that I just. I'm perfectly fine either way, but I just wanted to throw that out there to the rest of the group on thoughts, just because I know there's that anxiousness out there.
So this is why our other efforts have failed, because there have been different levels of exceptions. You allow them at lunch, you allow them between class periods. It's gotta be a blanket.
Okay.
All or none, or people will start punching holes they're already looking for ways to get around this. And you mentioned dummy phones or dumb phones. Kids have a different meaning for that.
Well,
An
no,
inactive or broken phone, that's what I'm gonna put in the pouch, and I'm gonna put a good one in my pocket.
no, I think there would be a clear definition. I mean, I'm saying dumb phones, but I think there would have to be a clear definition of what that is,
And then,
right?
then you'll need people to check, does it have? the dumb
No, I
phone,
got
does it have
ya.
a Camera or not,
I got you.
it creates,
I am perfectly fine. I just threw it out there. We're all good.
But I think it creates a
Not getting
distraction.
much of an argument.
It creates a distraction for the kids that don't have any phones. You got
Yeah.
Johnny using his dumb phone over there. Well, how come he can have a phone, but I can't? You know,
It's just distracting other kids too.
They're already doing the magnets and the locking and the unlocking. There's already enough to do.
No, my son has a plan for all this. He's got like 40 kids. They're protesting,
I brought it up,
around it for a year, so just,
I
that.
brought it up to my boys, my twin boys that are freshmen this year. And, they're like, Dad, that's stupid. That's horrible. And they kept coming up with all these different reasons. What if I did this? What if I did that? And then I was like, no, you're just not gonna be able to use your phone. You don't need it anyways. And then they both said, well, then I won't even bring it to school. And I was like,
Right.
There you go, problem solved.
Exactly.
And I think the great majority of the district wants that. They would like to see a total ban. I truly believe that. I think we all do.
Well, I was gonna say, kids are in school to learn, right?
Mm.
So there would be more of a focus on that.
And I know how
Maybe they'll sit down
anxiety
and
is
have
today. but
conversations with each other.
We have counselors in school that have that bad of anxiety.
And I think it sounds like the parents are have more anxiety than the kids.
Oh, no, the kids are having anxiety.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, but still, you
I
know,
mean, I'm around,
they're feeding off of each other, I
Oh,
think.
yeah,
I've got.
they'll make it.
Two of them,
Yeah,
and I'm around a lot of their teammates that I've gotten talking to from all,
yes.
and I told them to understand. And I've had parents both ways. Some very supportive.
Right.
Some, oh, it's not gonna work. I'm gonna come in and protest. So be it. That's your.
One thing, I think some people in the public is on social media, they think that we're just pulling this 40,000 grant from nowhere. There's been talk, why don't we use that for the arts program and stuff? And I don't know if anybody's listening in, but no, okay.
A lot of your grants.
But that's coming from a grant for a grant
specify
specifically.
certain things. and
report an
nothing else.
attorney and.
Yeah, a reporter and attorney pretty much.
And, I mean, I'm gonna ask the security people this question, but if there is an emergency and, say, God forbid that something were to happen, isn't it better to not be on a phone,
Yeah.
causing yourself to, become a target because you're not, you know what I'm trying to say, like.
Become more aware of your surroundings without that device in your hand, talking, looking at someone else, maybe trying to text or videotape the actual event at the time. Because that's what most people do now, they don't get involved, they videotape.
My kids brought that same topic up to me, like, Dad, what if something's going on like that? I need to go. I said, get the heck out of the building, then call me and tell me you're okay.
One high fight, one high fight.
Pick something up, and start throwing it out.
Throw your cell phone pouch up.
There you go.
Swing it around.
See, there is a use for it.
I mean, I get the same argument that Mr. Houseman does from this thing too.
Okay,
I-
you share that.
I hear them, however, we're looking for the best possible educational experience that we can provide.
Yeah.
That is our job as a board. And putting these out of their hands and making them focus on school creates the best possible learning environment they can have.
Absolutely.
And can I ask you one question? Mr. Chairman, can you tell me how it went when there was just an expectation that they would keep them in their backpacks? How does that?
It was a bad, tell you hundreds of stories. It's just a constant battle. So some teachers would stick to it hard, fast. And then the kids would start, well, so-and-so lets us use it for this. And so it wears them down. And by the end of the year, the rule is gone. There are numerous instances of me being one of them getting screamed at because you can't take their phone, I pay for that, on and on and on. There are times where parents will text, hey, Grammy just passed away in the middle of second period, and then we're left to clean up the mess, because that kid is very upset in school receiving that news, just not appropriate. And then just a lot of our bullying is around these phones.
Absolutely.
We've got inappropriate pictures taken in classrooms with teachers in the background.
You're putting
That's a
that out
problem
there
for
for
the
any
district.
potential active
Yeah.
shooter or anybody. You're showing the inside of the school, you're showing security,
The
everything.
video of fights, instead of helping
Open
to
out.
stop
De-escalate.
things, you're running
There
to
you
get
go.
an adult, and they're all
Absolutely.
standing around
Right.
recording.
That's a
Watch
good
it.
point.
Yeah.
They're a constant problem. TikTok has algorithms that searches out suicidal kids and provides them to the mental health illness that kids are going through now. So yeah, they're a problem. We've tried many things. The middle school still has the rule in your locker. They're not. They have ways around it. We got the pockets here for the classrooms, and again, some teachers were heavily enforcing that, and others were.
Yeah.
And then okay, you can use it in study hall, and then it turns into one period, all 9. Part of our issues in ag last year, and some of the reputation that program got was because of cell phones out there. When it's time to go work on hands-on stuff, and it's not 100% full supervision like a normal classroom, they're off in a corner on their phones. So, and it's Snapchat, where it disappears. Then you get kids taking screenshots. Well, they only screenshot them being the target. They don't screenshot the stuff before it where they were flinging stuff.
Yeah.
So you spend a ton of time as an administrator piecing that all together. It'd be better without them. And I get the parent concerns.
I've got my own. I was back and forth on this as well. Having kids in the district, you like to have that immediate contact, but I have to have faith that if I call the office, then within a matter of minutes, they're calling the classroom, getting the information to my kid or getting them down to the office so I can pick them.
And if they want to, they don't even have to provide the message to the office. I need to speak to my kid. They can call the kid down. They open their pouch and can talk to the parent if it's a situation, rather than sitting in a bathroom stall on a toilet,
Right.
having that conversation and receiving bad news or whatever it happens to be. There are some things we have to work out. The policy is the start. There's a lot of detail that we have to sort out, and that's where that company, not only do you get the pouch, you get the support of their 10 years of doing this in implementation. So there are things like the student athletes, how do they unlock if they're running late for practice, if they're running right to locker rooms, the buses. We're already ramping up with elementary students on our buses with phone problems. So we have that to address as well. But this is the first step in rolling this out.
The violations then.
That'll come
Yeah, I saw that. It was
down the
not there,
road.
yeah.
And I don't know if you want, I wouldn't
Levels.
want the consequences and levels in policy. That's better handled in your handbooks
Okay.
or administrative regulations. Much like employee discipline, you don't typically put in a policy.
Okay.
I wouldn't put that level in policy. It allows you to pivot a little quicker if it's not. If students find a way to beat the system, it allows us to pivot quicker if it's not fully outlined in policy.
I'd just like to see that we would focus on what we can do to eliminate the greatest level of distraction in the classroom. You know, Brad brought that up, Dave brought that up about, we want the kids to have the best learning experience that they can experience. It really, and they don't see this long-term from the perspective that we can, but it really does prepare them for when they get out of high school, when they go into college, go into the workforce. And if they're on their phones every day in class, they're missing a lot. And I think we need to really make sure that we're thinking of their welfare in this situation too.
Well, and that's like I said, and it goes beyond just like the reading, the writing, the STEM and everything like that. It goes to just how they interact with each other in
Yeah,
society.
and they
Like
don't
just
know.
having conversations. I mean, yeah, you have the kids who are in extracurricular activities, you get like karate, football, basketball. They get to interact a little bit, but even then, before games, you look and instead of watching your other players on the games, you got their heads down. John knows exactly what I'm talking about, because I look over, I'm like, come on, your ninth grade team's playing or your eighth grade team's
Right.
playing. Let's, instead of looking down. And so I think it'll help with them even just socially, because honestly, you look at it and sometimes I'm just like, do you want to even know how to communicate with each
don't.
other without including that thing in your hand? Like, have a conversation. So I think there's a lot of things to be gained from it. And it's one of those things you didn't know until you knew, right? Because they came out in 2010 and they've just historically if you look at some of the graphs that they're showing, it's incredibly sad, the rates of suicide among young girls, the mental health problems among young boys, and just really everything it's doing to our teenagers and, now young adults. And so if we can do anything to help in that, as much as they're gonna hate us for the first, year.
To quote the U.S. General, Surgeon General Murphy,
Yes.
we're in the middle of a national youth mental crisis. And I'm concerned about social media as an important driver of that crisis, one that we must urgently address.
And I'll say it again, if you have not read The Anxious Generation, read it. It's very, 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 very good.
So, Mr. Titus, the changes in this policy in green here, do they meet the objectives of the grant request that we're?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was my.
Yep.
Thank you, Doc. See?
and then the only other thing I would recommend checking shall instead of may
For the violations?
for violations.
I concur.
Okay, yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
So I'll bring this back then for first reading. With shall in there and those other. Well, that's it. That's all I'm changing.
Which one?
So I have one more question. Under the exceptions, where it says classroom or instructional related activities under the supervision of a classroom teacher.
Oh, yeah, these are things we have to check. I would not recommend checking that one.
No, I don't want to. That's
Nor
why-
the first one. We would deal with health reasons under IEP or 504 service agreements.
Because does the 504 include like diabetic patients and
Yep.
stuff like that? Okay, I just wanted to make sure,
Yeah.
because a lot of those kiddos use them for insulin pumps, and I don't know
So-
how many we have.
And
but-
the phones and what they use for insulin pumps, you can't access, you can't call.
Right,
It's
No,
just-
no,
it's just
yeah.
really a device that
Yeah.
connects with the pump.
yeah. And I was gonna
it's-
say, and there's kiddos now that use watches for seizures and
Yes,
stuff too,
yeah.
so
And
would
so
that
the-
be under a 504?
504
Okay, I
covers seizure,
just wanted
and
to make
any
sure.
chronic medical condition, any acute medical condition that's come up, even if kids have a history of chronic concussions, that can also be covered under 504.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure we had them covered and we're.
Yeah.
okay.
So the
So that's
second
the
one
second
and the
one?
fourth one, there'll still be an expectation that they pouch them, but if you recall, they had the Velcro one.
So we could put them in a belt.
So they would go in the 504 agreements would be written
Those two, okay.
that it would be a Velcro, and we have,
Should we put in, because, should we put is the pouch part in here at all?
nope,
Okay, are we gonna put it?
not in
All right.
policy.
Okay, that's why because I didn't know if we had to add a caveat, but still must be secured and
Some
And
schools
approved mobile device powered.
have switched to, I was telling them earlier, just bubble wrap envelopes. Because the expectation becomes, it's gotta be in something in a way. So then they're eventually skipping the expense of the pouch itself. If they get to that point, other districts are getting to the point that have run this 6 to 7 years, are starting to reconsider their one-to-one programs as well. Taking those devices out of classrooms. So it's interesting. Districts that have done this a while, where they end up, in the end. But again, year one, and maybe even two is gonna be going to be difficult. It's gonna be challenging.
For the fourth one there,
Yep.
the volunteer, is that something that commonly happens? People, and do we let them leave school to go?
Well, typically let them leave. Really depends, in the past, it's depended on the kid and their involvement with the fire company. Plunkets, places like that that really are short on elder, that are short on manpower, they have responded in the past.
Okay.
Now, is there an age limit, like juniors and seniors? I mean, you wouldn't want seventh grader running out.
No, it's somebody that
So we
can
would want
drive.
to
has a-
include that in here, that,
Because it just says. a
if they're
student.
involved, they would have to be juniors
Yeah,
and
and that-
seniors, or just.
That can be the building principal's call. I think
Okay.
there's another policy on volunteers. I don't know. I'll have to find that. I can't. So-
Wonder what it would be like if they came into the stadium and did the same things with them, and they actually went in there and actually watched the game.
Right?
They still won't even watch the game. I was gonna say, I think about what, they'll just walk in circles, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what my kids
maybe
do.
we'll get there sometime. I doubt it.
Hopefully all the coaching staff, maybe they can hold kids accountable with the phones too.
At least the teams.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
Labs.
that's a good point, Brad. And I talked a little bit about this in the last meeting. If we're gonna commit these funds, although albeit grant funds, it's gotta be an all-in from the faculty and staff too, accountability there. So I know we've had issues in the past. That's why we're going to this method, but the teachers and the faculty, whoever, if you observe a child on a phone, you need to act upon
Mhm.
and not just brush under the rug and go. You know, if you see them, if they're vandalizing it and opening it, then that needs to be.
Oh, I was just
handled
gonna
as well.
say, does that need to go in policy or would that go under?
That'll be code of
Handbook.
conduct in the handbooks.
Okay.
It's gonna be titled Actions Equal Consequences.
We could do a whole section on it.
Which will come to you to approve as an addendum
Right,
to the
yeah,
current.
I just didn't know
the
if it
current
needed,
handbook.
where it needed to be housed. Cause obviously we'll have to, not only violation, but if you then also destroy the property, what's that look like? Because you wanted to violate.
Okay, so I'll bring that.
The only other thing that I was thinking were, smartwatches. You know, they don't, I don't necessarily take pictures or whatnot, but I mean, if texts come through, which may not be a bad thing. I mean, if
What a notification for everything.
yeah, and you know, if a child receives a text on their watch, someone can respond to watch, depending on what kind of watch. But is that, are we okay with that?
But you can disconnect your watch from your phone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
And
parents
it's
aren't
still,
doing that.
and it still works.
Right, but I'm saying parents that don't want us to put their phones in pouches. I think that's probably not going to be as much of a distraction as TikTok.
Right,
You know.
exactly.
I think there's the understanding that that's probably gonna happen.
I was gonna say, I can barely see, what's on my phone sometimes. I'm like, well, maybe they won't have the same problem as I do.
They're a little younger.
Yeah.
They're a little younger. That's still right.
Never mind.
Speaking from experience, the job that I currently have now, I couldn't have TikTok on my phone for confidentiality purposes, and my work increased 30% when I took TikTok off.
So you were in TikTok.
That's fine. I know the kids are gonna struggle. But I didn't put on kids. It's like, fine, it's so funny. Most of the stuff comes through for me.
Social media.
Most of the stuff that comes through for me are like recipes and food anyways.
Right.
Which
That's
I'm,
okay.
that's my algorithm.
We'll increase at home ec enrollment.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't get a recipe on TikTok. I gotta do it home. Okay, so I guess we're good with the policy moving forward.
Yep.
With those suggestions. All right. Very well then. Thanks, everyone. Good conversation. 7.2, discussion of elementary schools.
So I'll just give you an update. Site Logic, I sent you that as a draft. We met with them today to try to move that out of draft version so we can get that out to the public and on the website. Their first report is on the website,
Okay.
yeah. So that's out there, and that report, what it contained was if we keep, so if you consolidate and keep the building open, not open, but at the bare minimums for temperature, kind of mothball the building. That's the savings they're showing, which was about $42,000. What that doesn't include is all the budget items in maintenance for that facility. So that number will go up. They also reduced staff in that report by, I believe it was 1 in each grade, which bumps numbers up to about 20 in a class, which I know will be a concern for some. So that still needs to be hashed out on what the total savings would be to close that building without selling it. There's also going to be a lot of savings if, of course, you sell that building. And then you have the report on what it's going to take us to keep both operating. I will tell you, I have enrollment numbers. I'll send those out and we'll go over those at the next board meeting publicly. We're down to 195 at the Valley and 380 at Lighter. So total, that's. What's that?
$575.
So that puts you
Still-
at 575.
Still proud of myself there for a second.
I wrote it.
You went a little
Said it. I'm
far.
like, wait a minute.
I mumbled the first number because I wasn't 100% sure.
In recent years, when you go back about 10, Lighter at one time housed 522 total students. So you're again getting close. It still would need an addition. There are still traffic concerns there. But again, the thought of we're in this spot because of a lack of action by various boards and leaderships over the last probably 30 years. This can't go on. We've got to decide something, so.
You said the number at Lighter was larger. How many years ago? What was that number?
522, let me tell you, I can tell you what year that was. In 14-15, we were at 522.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then we stayed in the 500s till 16-17. We dropped below 500 in 17-18.
53 students, that was, like, what kind kind of an addition, like how much are we gonna need? Because right now it's only 53, and if you're saying that the numbers are gonna drop.
Yeah,
the
that's,
projected Drop, you
yeah,
know,
that's where your architects will need to,
it's 53, you know,
answer,
right now
yeah.
it's 53 students, and if the projection is correct, like, you know, it worked in their favor for so long, well, hopefully it'll work with how much, you know, would we not have to do?
right, and that would be a question for architects. That's why there's some questions we can't answer without starting to engage.
You would have
Other
to set up whatever they're gonna set up at later, they'd have to set it up to maintain the class sizes that we want and the projection. And with a percentage over what could possibly be at later, as far as not just, you know, keep it under 525 or whatever it is with the additional students. Take a percentage higher that you know that you can maintain and keep your class sizes the way you want them, and
Cause those class sizes they put in there were unacceptably high. My head almost popped off.
Sharon,
What?
we like 15, that's about where we're at now, right?
No, fourth grade, which I had no idea, has, right now has very large class sizes. Very large class size,
What's the class?
like 24,
27
27
in fourth.
in fourth grade. Cause my little head almost popped off because I
And
had.
lighter.
and
Lighter,
the way
yeah.
you would cure that would
I
be to hire a
understand that,
teacher,
but
right?
yeah, you buy a long-term substitute, sort of like
Yeah.
they did in Quinn's grade when third grade, we're gonna pop
And
them
more
up to
classrooms.
24 and I came in here and yelled.
When he's
You
talking
hire a
about-
teacher, but.
You
probably,
can do
know,
a long-term substitute. They did that with Lauren Caputo and she
Well, they had
moved up
two
with their grade because their grade was very big. She went from third grade to fourth grade with them.
Oh,
And now she's out at Valley. And Mrs. Baxter went up each grade with them. Because their class was so big.
are there
there-
still 2 empty classrooms?
Yes, yeah, there are open rooms on.
At lighter, I think there are 4. 3 or 4. They shifted the counselor around, so it might only be 3 now.
I think it is three.
So in theory,
Say
you'd only
we
have to add. To think maybe the numbers will rise some year. If you added on 2 more classrooms, you'd have some good leeway.
And that's where your architects, because you have to consider special ed, and dedicated special ed rooms. So it's gonna be more than just enough classrooms for 53 kids. It's,
Well, and they just put on that really nice STEM room as well. So that's another thing, or is that going on at later is also?
they're both.
There's later.
Okay.
How many empty classrooms is there over at later right now?
3 or 4.
3. I think we're down to 3 because they moved the counselor into a classroom.
Can I ask, why didn't, there's 27 kids in each grade and fourth grade and there's open classrooms, why didn't we get a long-term substitute?
The budget could not support another. Long-term subs still cost you the same as a first-year teacher.
I know, but
So the budget didn't support that. The only reason we had the third grade long-term sub is because we had somebody resign. So third grade would be high too if we didn't get that resignation from the middle school. Which we kind of knew was coming.
Are there open rooms at Val?
Yes. Yeah, we have, both buildings have empty rooms. And I just pulled numbers for Crabtree's best line of fit and state projections for elementary enrollment. In 27-28, we will be at 518 according to Crabtree. According to the state, we'll be at 523. So that's in a few years, yeah. So if you do consolidate, you also have to be careful about overbuilding. If you don't consolidate, you're gonna end up with more empty rooms and more imbalance in class size. So in 21-22, the Valley had 256 students. And it's now down to that 195 as of third day enrollment. And staffing is close to similar. So what we've seen there is the decline in class size as compared to later.
Any improvement on the numbers of kids going to CCS?
That was at 54 last I reported.
Down from 7 something.
So
Down from 72.
here's a question. So we have similar amount of staff at the Valley as we do it later?
No.
That's what I thought you just
No.
said. I was like, wait a
The,
second.
the staffing from when it was at
Okay.
over 200. It's still similar to now that we're down to 195.
Okay.
We're running 2 classrooms per grade out there. Plus special ed and special.
Now, side note, we keep the Valley open. Wouldn't that cost taxpayers like double a tax raise compared to adding on to later? Would that be a tremendous tax increase for the taxpayers in the district?
You would have,
In 10 years, we gotta put $20 million in it.
right, you saw.
You can go 2 years, put how many million?
And we could potentially lose the insurance coverage next year.
We're making a responsible decision. I believe.
You can only starve so long.
Yep.
And I've said it numerous times and, you know, it's just so evident and it still does not matter to some. What you bring, what you explain, what you endure, what you understand, you know, just like the large classroom sizes. You know, so we wanted between, 15 and 19 students, but yet we can't do it because we can't hire a teacher. Because we'll be outside the budget.
Mhm.
So, is that good for the students? Is that good to bring students into the community? To have parents move into the community? They're not gonna do that. So, it's just this ongoing saga that we deal with. No matter what we bring to the table and how we present it, the bottom line is not gonna be good enough. And
To
you
me,
know,
yes.
you're heading in that direction. I mean, this should have been rectified and taken care of, like Dan said, it should have been dealt with, in the last 7 years. I know we started looking at it before COVID hit, but not increasing taxes and not being responsible for what we're trying to accomplish as a district is on us. And the support that you get from the outside, I can guarantee there's a lot more support than negativity towards the direction that we're gonna go.
Support of keeping that valley open until we turn to the experts. The experts who we hired for however much money to do their jobs, and that's the full analysis of our buildings.
I also wanted to give you one other number. Kindergarten enrollments for this year were at 115. The state in their projections had projected a class of 117. So their projections are pretty good. Last year, 105, I think we hit we had retentions in there. I think we were right around 103. But that 117 that they're projecting is the highest number through 2032 and 33. Everything else stays around 100, 106 for next year, 112, 110, 107, 105, 103, 101, 99. So you're looking at 100, a little over 100 per class coming through. Which is going to create savings throughout the system as teachers retire, we won't need to replace, and that would be at all levels, as those smaller classes go through the district.
Is there any other districts out there that have done it? Hughesville, did Hughesville close down a couple?
New Jersey Shore.
And then Jersey
South
Shore,
Shore, Again,
Okay, so,
South
right,
Williamsport's
but,
going-
but based off of,
yeah,
South
South
is the-
Central, so South closed, Rodamel, so the middle school, and it's consolidating between Central and the high school. So they had to close that building, and they just are, I think they just started school this week, so they had to do construction over it. But yeah, they literally went through almost the exact same thing that
I
we've
mean,
been going
the,
through.
the return on that isn't gonna
And I
just show
went
up.
at junior high, so I would. Okay, I understand.
I mean, the return on this isn't gonna show up tomorrow. Right, it's gonna be a process,
Right.
but the longer that you postpone this and the longer you wait, the more you're gonna pay.
Well, we're already paying from however many years ago when the banker came in and said, reserve that money. And everyone was afraid building costs would go down. That has not happened.
I mean, that's not being fiscally responsible. When you,
you're not being positive, you think we're not gonna have inflation eventually?
no, you know what I mean. But you're not, you just, it's not and we've been doing it for years, so, we've done it for decades. In the district where we've had opportunities to dodge some bullets and get some, and save some money, and it's just all based off of what are my taxes going to be next year? And this is why you're where you're at, because nobody's willing to accept what is real.
I just hope everybody reads this report because they'll explain it, and if you read that report, I don't think anybody right-minded out there will disagree with what we're doing.
Parents will.
Yeah, they will, but they're the ones
that
that
is
won't
the-
read it though. Okay. What I would say.
That's a good little school.
Yeah, other than putting online, like, can we like send a voicemail to everybody, letting them know, hey, it's online now, so you can get prepared for asking questions. Or else I'll take a
Why don't
month.
you send out,
Yeah, I mean,
hey,
send
your
it
little
out.
text
And then we're
alert?
getting bad questions because they're not.
Yeah, I'd be good like on a text alert, because I mean, everybody gets, say, look at, or even just a reference, look at your email. 'Cause
That'd be good, because we
it
sent,
helps me.
we sent mailers out last time.
In Griffin Valley, like, I've talked to a lot of people from the public in my district. I've talked to teachers at the Valley, I've talked to secretaries, and they all understand the predicament we're in. They all support leaving the Valley. So just to put that out there, whoever might be listening on YouTube. We're not making this for personal reasons, we're making this for the betterment of the community and our kids who are the future of our country.
Yeah, I hate to take emotion out of it, but it really does come down to a financial decision, and what you're willing to support as a district. When you take the emotions out of it, it becomes strictly financial.
And it has been confirmed we can build up.
That has not been, I need to engage architects and engineers, and I can't do that.
Until we have a decision,
so
we
there's-
don't want to spend
yeah.
money on something that we're not going to do.
Then we have an approximate number.
That- From like
Like.
3 years ago.
Classrooms, there's a rough sketch, I think it was 8 classrooms that closed off the back of.
Right, that kind of triangle.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, and Mr. Hoffman, you're not gonna like this, but there's ball fields there, the little kids' ball field.
That's school
No,
property.
No, it's school property.
The other one.
It's-
And what I'll say in defense of people at the Valley is they're losing their
Soccer
soccer field big
fields.
time. I've had people, I go to my son's soccer, all that.
We
And they
may
even
have
come to
kids
me,
that
like,
play
what are
in
we gonna
soccer.
do? What are we gonna? They are soccer teams now are 6th in line to get a field.
Yeah.
So FC Montoursville, which a lot of kids play from, they play up there. They're up there yesterday, I think, for 10
My
hours.
daughter's up there tonight.
They are losing their fields. They have no idea what they're gonna do.
I will say that. I was sad.
And I'm just throwing
Again,
that
when-
out there because
If that,
everybody, nobody's gonna really like that for the community here.
if that goes up for sale, the interest would be in the building and not all that land, so you could sell part of it and keep fields. You could keep the fields. You don't have to sell that as all one.
How many acres are there? There's like, what, 16, 20?
Let me say, 13.
There's considerable acreage because it goes up the hill. It's a nice piece. It goes up the hill.
Mr. House, how much, pushback are we gonna have? How's the community gonna be with that?
What's
Do
that?
something to the baseball field.
I don't think the design showed
Think is
going
that-
to the.
There's
baseball.
two fields there.
Right.
The main field probably wouldn't be any problem.
Oh, really?
The other field, yeah, you hate to lose that, but we'd have some things in place. Right now, the Alexanders and the church out on, not Fairfield Road, but
Community Baptist.
yeah,
Oh, by me.
they're building a field out there.
Oh, are they?
For Montoursville softball and baseball, mostly for minor leagues and then girls softball. And they started this year. So we also have two fields at Sportsman, which are used all the time, and a field at the Grange. And we could always move T-ball out there and coach pitch. You'd hate to lose the central location there, but you know, we could survive without that. The main field, then you might have the entire community come down that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna lose that.
Because
Parking.
there wouldn't be the money.
I know
There
parking is limited
So you
there.
don't think that'll be touched? Is that?
No.
But the main
I wouldn't
field.
think- I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't take on
No way.
fights. I wouldn't
Way.
take on 2 fights.
I have boundaries.
Unless you take on
Not
the whole
touching that thing.
The initial, design ideas that we had a couple of years ago,
No, that field wasn't. touched.
So parking's not a problem then for additional staff?
There's empty spots there now.
You could probably even put a semi-loop in there for the buses.
There's talk, you'd have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Alright.
we have an issue this year with, after-school programming. It's all the valley right now. Because they can't staff it.
You mean
So-
aftercare?
Yeah, they can't
That's how
staff
it
2
was.
schools.
That's how it was when I first started, because the kids would take, or Matthew would take bus 7 out to the valley and then drops them off there.
We're doing something similar where it's all.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, and then later started up for a little bit. That's something you taught.
Not anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
You had it staffed.
we did have it. started.
All right, any more, thoughts? That's a good conversation. Looking forward to reading that report.
So yeah, we'll get that finalized with them. I do want to have an executive session after this meeting concerning a real estate matter. So if we could just stay, for a little bit. Should I begin to engage architects at this point?
I think so. Yeah. Appraisal?
We'll discuss it has to deal with the real estate matter that I have for you, so. Okay.
All right, if we're good, we'll move on to the final public comment section of the evening. Again, this is a 3-minute unpause period. Residents and taxpayers comment and matters.
Jack Callahan, this bit about the cell phones. I think they were just used to begin with for educational purposes. I've heard you could get the assignment off the board, or that's what you would take to get different things off the board. And I mean, I go along with what you're doing now, but I think they were originally a kid could just take his cell phone and get the teacher's, whatever assignment for the next day or whatever assignment. And, I don't, there was some educational purposes related to them. And, some of them kids, I mean, not everybody's cell phone. I know mine, I couldn't do any of that. I mean, mine doesn't, bring up pictures. I got a little flip top. But I mean, some of these other ones, if they wanted to get information or how a teacher does something, they could film it and go over it. So I mean, there's some educational processes that are purposes for a cell phone. I mean, you've had them for how many years now, and all of a sudden you want to get rid of them. And I don't know. I mean, I was told they could get, the teacher put an assignment on the board. Instead of writing it down, you just take your cell phone and do it.
Well, Jack, all the students have Chromebook laptops now, and all of the academic stuff is right there on that computer.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
That's why we're a little bit more comfortable with making that.
All right.
Thanks, Jack.
Ron Snow, Lower Manor Road. Mrs. Meyer, I understand what you was trying to do with the cell phones by bringing up the dumb phone. There was a report in the news today that students, it was a report on schools doing away with cell phones. And that report said that the average across the country of how many times kids in school text. Exactly. And Mr. Badger, you brought up a good point about the bullying, because texting is a way that they could still bully. So I'm glad the decision wasn't for the dumb phones. The other thing the other thing on the phones is, I'd like to see, hopefully there is, data saved to see if getting rid of cell phones in school improve test scores. I don't expect it to happen the first year, but I think in the following years, you'll see that it will help with test scores. The other, and I have a question, and I know you don't want to answer here at the podium, but the foreign exchange students, they're housed by people in our district, correct? So when we, but when the vote is made to not have a tuition, right, to waive the tuition. Since they're living in the district at the time, does the state reimburse? Are they counted as a reimbursement since they are living in the district?
They're an enrolled student.
They're an enrolled student, right? So actually, their tuition wouldn't have to be waived, correct?
Well, they're here on a visa, so their address is outside the district. They don't have an address in the district.
But they're
They live
still
with what's called a host
host,
family.
yes, but they're still
They're still a citizen of the country they're coming from.
right. But since they live in the district, the state recognizes them as an addition to our student population.
Yeah, they're included in our enrollment numbers.
Right.
And reimbursement, but they still fall under having to waive tuition.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, bureaucracy at its finest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no one else in the room, we'll go to Zoom. If anyone has a comment, please raise your hand. All right, I see no hands raised, so I will move.
I do have one more question, and you might not want to answer it here, but on background checks, what justifies somebody not passing background check?
That varies.
I mean, if they have
I know what you're getting at.
criminal activity in the past, and it shows up in a background check, how do we justify hiring that person?
There's automatic, like,
Yeah,
there's some automatic disqualifiers as far as working with children go and the offenses that relate to children. All right, so let's say a criminal mischief isn't the same as a sexual assault. Okay, I know that's a big wide gap.
Right.
But a DUI is not the same as an indecent exposure. You know what I mean? There's disqualifiers built into that, Child Safety Act that wouldn't allow them to work around children, should they have violated and be found guilty of certain.
See, the reason why I asked that question is because who the district hires they all should be role models for our students.
Well, maybe that's something we need to look at. I gotta depend on the backgrounds of the doing. Whether it's for teachers or security. You know, I used to do background investigation myself, and I can tell you that probably what we do is a basic background investigation. Versus the background investigation where you're going to the neighbors of these people over how many years, state police, since you're a kid, interviewing them so you know who you're hiring. Now, that's very extensive background. We wouldn't be paying for something that expensive.
yeah, and I don't think you can use any, you can only use what comes back on the required clearance checks by the state, which there are 3.
Okay.
So you can't go that extensive. And it also depends on the position. Some positions are held to a higher standard than others.
Teacher versus security guard.
Yeah.
Well, when it has to do with our kids, they also be held to a high standard. Thank you for answering.
All right, with that being said, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All right, all in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, thanks, everybody.